Sharp Game here, coming at you with another episode from ChooseYourRelationships.com, author of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. So I hope your Thanksgiving weekend was fun, hanging out with family, hanging out with your parents, if they're still around, alive. And today I'm going to talk about uh, dating. I get a lot of questions from a lot of people, and they tell me a lot of problems that they have, especially over the weekend. I got a lot of questions, and that I didn't reply back to until today. And a lot of people say, just the whole landscape of dating today is horrible. And I agree. However, dating, relationships, it requires skill just like anything else in life. So the more skills you have, social skills, intuition that you use, or at least you're supposed to use anyway. The more you can tap into that, the more social skills you have, the better your relationships. The more you become as a man, as a husband, the better, I would say the the more you become as a man, as a person, the better your life, the better your relationships. So relationships is just depends on your skill set. However, there's a catch to this. Now, the better version you become of yourself, your circle will shrink. What that means is the pool of people around you is going to filter out, and you won't have too many people wanting to be around you as compared to being in college when you were younger, or people that you probably hung out with every weekend. A lot of those people, they won't be feeling you as much as they used to. So they're gonna fizzle out. Because let's just be honest. A lot of people are intimidated by intelligence. Just smart people in general. A lot of people would feel like, they can't manipulate you or make a fool out of you. They can't play you. So a lot of women and even some men would feel like, well, I can't hang around him as much as I used to because he's not going to fall for my tricks, my little games. So that's what it is. So it's like, see, really, as a man, I think you really have two choices. At some point, you're gonna have to make up your mind. Even as a woman, at some point, you're gonna have to look at it like this: I can do what everybody else does, live an average life, get average results, and keep it moving. Or if I want to be above average, you're gonna have to sacrifice something. You're gonna have to do things different. Something has to change. So either you're gonna, you can't have it all to get to the point where you want to get to and become the person that you want to be. You're gonna have to give up football every Sunday. You have to give up partying all the time, drinking, smoking. You're gonna have to give up trying to have sex 7 days a week. There has to be some sacrifice. You have to give up the time you spend around people that don't have your best interests. You're gonna have to give up something. But that's the thing. Most people don't want to give up anything. They want it all. They don't want to change anything. Because change is uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable for most people. And people are followers, like sheep. So at some point, every man and woman has to make a decision which direction they're gonna go to live their best self, so to speak. But I would say the app for the common man and woman today, the need to fit in is powerful. It's so strong in this society that sometimes we get shamed into doing things that we don't really want to do. And that has a lot to do with how people date, men and women in this society. Because if we're doing something different from our peers, sisters, brothers, friends, siblings, etc., and if we tell them what we're doing, especially if they find out what we're doing, we get shamed, we get judged. So a lot of people just go along to get along, and they suffer. And some people, some guys just give up. Some men, some women just give up. They go, they form these little groups. Men going their own way, which you should have been going your own way from the get-go. You should have been going your own way, I don't know, when you turned 18 or when you left your parents' house. You should have been doing your own thing since then. You shouldn't have waited until you turned 32, 35 to start living your own life by your own rules. And then you got some women that have so much baggage. I know some good women out here today that will do things to turn guys off because they have so much baggage from their previous and past relationships. The average, a good dude is not going to really tolerate that too much. A good dude is not going to let you disrespect him so many times before he just get fed up and had it. He might try to work it out with you and everything, but there's going to be a breaking point. There's no guy that feels good about himself is going to tolerate a lot of disrespect. That's not going to happen. So that's one of the biggest problems that a lot of women have. Good women too. They'll do things to turn guys off. They got baggage, stuff that happened to them. They just can't let it go. That has a lot to do with that. Women out here but they're just not qualified to be in relationships. They're just not ready. Really not. But you can't tell them that though. If you want a relationship as a woman, if you want a relationship, you have to be open. You have to be ready. You can't have a lot of drama going on. You can't have too many guys around. around, I mean, if a new guy might come in the picture, and as soon as he figures out that you got all these guys in your circle, I mean, he's probably not gonna like that. Hit it a few times. He might hang out with you, but he's probably not gonna settle down with you. And a lot of women don't understand this. You know, I've had conversations with a lot of women. They don't understand this. They just, it's kind of like a lot of those girls that go to college. They go to college, while out, start drinking, smoking, getting high and everything. And even when they get out of college, they continue. They'll do that for 6, 10 years. And then they, then they get to a breaking point where it's like, okay, I'm getting a little older now. So I'm looking for a guy to settle down. And a lot of these women are wore out. Their womb is like, they done laid down with too many guys. And it shows for a lot of women. It shows on a lot of women. So as soon as a guy figures out that you done been around the block too many times, he's not gonna settle with you. Because you got a drinking habit, you get high, and people aren't stupid out here. You can fool some people sometime, but you can't fool them all the time. Even the dumbest guy, eventually he would catch on to the little games that a lot of women play. It might take a while, but eventually it's gonna crumble and the relationship is gonna suffer. This is what happens with a lot of marriages. Because a lot of guys, it's a lot of people in general, they just don't know who they got married to until later, until the wedding is over and a year or two go by, and then that's when people usually get comfortable and they just relax, and that's when people be like, hey, well, I'm locked in now, they're not going nowhere. And then you realize that you got married to a monster. Total disaster. You know, it happens all the time, man. That's why the divorce rate is what 70%? I heard somebody say yesterday in this country. It's probably higher than that though. And I don't really know how they calculate and keep data with all these numbers anyway. And I know that they can tweak these numbers as they want, as much as they want. So whenever I hear these stats, I wouldn't put my life on it. I wouldn't bet on it. But I just talk to a lot of people and I just listen to what a lot of men and women say out here. And this dating out here today is tough. But that's why you have to sharpen your social skills. Because that's gonna help you stick out. You have to learn how to swim with the sharks without being eaten out here. And the thing is if you don't know, you just don't know. No one's gonna tell you. And that's one of the things, the biggest lessons I learned when I was in my 20s. If you don't know, you don't know. No one's gonna tell you. Every once in a while, you might meet somebody that might give you a little advice or two. But for the most part, it doesn't really happen like that too often. It really doesn't. So, you know, that's one of the main reasons why I wrote about my experiences. because I didn't see many people talking about it from my perspective and based on my experience. They talk about it from a kind of a, I guess, shallow, superficial point of view. But there's always different perspective of how people see things. And my experience might be different from a lot of people's experience as well. But you know, I think a lot of from a man's perspective, a lot of guys, their biggest problem is that a lot of guys just don't trust a lot of women. Uh, that's the common thing that I hear a lot. A lot of guys just don't trust a lot of women today. They think it's getting married is like too risky. And where a lot of guys are coming from with that. I get it. And a lot of women today are giving the farm away. They're like, for example, back in the day, not even back in the day, I'm saying 10, 15 years ago, you kind of had to put in time. I'm talking the average guy. You had to put in time. 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, you had to put in time to talk to a woman. You had to put in work. But today, women are giving up. They're giving everything away, like fast. So women today are doing too much too fast. So that's one reason why a lot of women are single. They're just giving away the farm. So today, if you take the average guy today can meet a woman and have her do almost everything without even being married or having any commitment or anything. That's how it is today. 30 years ago, it was not like that. No, you had to make a commitment to a woman in order for her to really open up and give you the farm and do any and everything that she wanted to do. But today, man, I know guys that have two women and they get everything out of those two women. Kids, support, whatever. Sex, you name it. So it wasn't so things have changed a little bit. Women are very yes, you can say they're very giving to certain guys. But this is just the average guy I'm talking about. Now, how much do you think a guy that's above average, what do you think his life is like? What do you think he's doing around women? What do you think how do you think women feel about him? Think about that. Because you got to think about it. Like back in the day, if I'm going to say 40, 50, 60 years ago, the guys that had multiple women, you damn near had to have money to do that shit. Yeah. The average guy, the common man back then, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, didn't really have it was almost impossible for him to have multiple women if he was an average dude. But today, the average dude can do that, can have multiple women and some today without no commitment, no marriage. So just think if you were above average, what would your life look like? You only have to be, say, 5% more. Let's say you're an average guy right now. And let's say you were just 5% more than who you already are right now. How much difference would that make in your life? Socially, financially, physically, economically, spiritually, whatever. That would make a big difference. Trust me. I've seen it. I've lived it. And I'm still living it. So today, man, this is my opinion. Today, socially, it's much easier than it was 20 years ago. Really. I mean, whenever I hear guys say they can't get laid, I'm thinking something's wrong. I mean, women are giving it up like hotcakes out here. So what has happened to you? How come you can't get laid? I mean, you have to be socially awkward. Even if you're socially awkward, you can still BS your way around getting just one woman. And whenever I hear a man or a woman say they can't find, if I hear a woman say, especially a woman, say, I can't find a man, I'm like, what? This is like over 7 billion people on the planet. And you can't find one guy? I mean, there's a lot of good guys out here. A lot of women just avoid them. They act like they're invisible. They act like they don't matter. And a lot of women, they don't come out as much as they used to, or as much as they should if they want to meet a guy. I mean, you're not going to meet a guy if you stay home a lot. I mean, well, some people will say, well, I was going on the internet and going to dating sites. Well, unfortunately, dating sites is not going to work for everybody. That's going to work for a small percentage of men and women. Really, that's just reality. I don't knock it though, but I know that dating sites, it's just not going to work for everybody, because most people have a hard time communicating in person as it is. So going online makes it even more tough, because if you don't know how to communicate in person, trying to communicate online, that's probably not going to work out. It's probably going to end up being a disaster if you meet someone in person. If you get lucky and meet someone in person. But even that's a skill set in itself. If you can meet, let me tell you something. If you can meet somebody, if you can go online to some website, Match.com, PlentyOfFish.com, BlackPeopleMeet.com, if you go on any of these sites and send messages to a man or woman, and if you can convince them to meet you in person, man, that's powerful, man. Most people can't do that. That's a skill set in itself. But the internet, these dating sites, it's only a tool. And a wise man once told me that a tool is only good as the user. So the internet, these dating sites, it's not a shortcut. It's just a tool to communicate with a lot of different people from in a lot of different locations, all at the same damn time. That's all it is, really. So you have a broader reach, but the quality is not always that good, though. See, and the reason why the quality of women that you meet is going to depend on your skill set, on who you are as a man or a woman, because you get what you are, you don't get what you want. So on that note, I'm going to end this live broadcast. So if you like what you heard, go check out my book, Love Can't Wait, and A Chicken's Guide to Having Women Beg for You, Sex, Lust, and Lies. Check out my website, chooseyourrelationships.com. Go get the cups, go get the hoodies, go get the t-shirts, go get all that good stuff. And share this video with anybody on your social media networks that you think would like it. And subscribe if you haven't already. So until next time, I'm out. Peace.